It's 2026, and female celebrities are still thirsting over Henry Cavill like there's no tomorrow. Superman continues to break the internet along with the composure of his co-stars. So subscribe now, because what's coming next are moments of pure bliss. Anya Chalotra's first encounter. Let's start with the most interesting one of them all. Anya Chalotra, who plays Yennefer in Netflix's The Witcher, had perhaps one of the most relatable and interesting reactions to meeting Henry Cavill for the first time. During multiple interviews promoting the show, she has been quite honest about her initial intimidation when it came to Henry Cavill. The first time she encountered Henry Cavill wasn't during a scene that they were filming together, but she simply saw him walking on the trailer on his set, and her immediate reaction was to avoid him entirely. She admitted that she was quite afraid and nervous about meeting the lead actor, so instead of introducing herself like a normal person, she literally ran away in the opposite direction, trying to avoid him. What's crazy is that in another interview, when she was asked about working with Henry, she described how his voice was in her head constantly while preparing for the scene. She then said many times that she meant it professionally for character work, though she was blushing all the time and nervous with her words, which suggested there was more to unpack there. Even the interviewer couldn't help but laugh as she was digging into it. As Anya tried to dig herself out of this mess, the more she was actually digging in. What makes Anya's thirst so interesting is her self-awareness about it. She joked in the interview that Henry is probably going to take a restraining order on her because she just can't stop talking about how attractive he is. She even issued a challenge to interviewers and friends who tried staring into the eyes and resisted for 5 seconds without giggling. That is a challenge literally impossible. Freya Allan. But it's not just Anya who has the voice in the head moment. Freya Allan, who plays Ciri in The Witcher, has also had her share of moments of thirsting over Henry Cavill on screen. During a lot of press junkets, she has confessed that while working or preparing for some of the emotional scenes, she would have Henry's voice in her head guiding her through her character work. It was almost automated. When she mentioned this in an interview, the host immediately picked up on the phrasing, and Freya realized how romantic it sounded. She quickly tried to clarify that she had different images. His voice trailed off with an embarrassed laugh. The damage was already done, and the internet knew that Freya was already thirsting over Henry Cavill and had a field day with that clip. Freya also mentioned being shocked for the first time when she saw Henry out of his Geralt costume and fight wig. She had only seen him wearing his costume with the monster-hunting Witcher on set. When they went out for a meal together, and he showed up like normal Henry Cavill, she couldn't hide her surprise. It was a reminder that underneath all that makeup and costume was one of the most handsome actors in the whole of Hollywood. Gina Carano confession. Next up is Gina Carano, who surprised everyone with her fair share of interviews about Henry Cavill. She has worked on various projects with Henry, making headlines when she admitted during an interview that she had a way of touching Henry specifically. She said that she always had her hand on his chest even when they weren't filming a scene together. The interviewer, clearly amused, asked if that was part of their on-screen relationship dynamic. And then Gina laughed and said that it was just her being shameless and taking advantage of the situation. She didn't apologize for it either, which made the moment even funnier. Her whole interview was about finding excuses to put her hand on Henry's famous muscular chest, which became an instant meme in the fan community. Being a former MMA fighter and a British actor, she dated Henry Cavill from 2012 to 2014. She even said that dating him was the easiest and the hardest job in the world, because people didn't really accept it. Fans from all over the world were calling it a one-month thing, which made it difficult for her. But nevertheless, she had an amazing time with Henry Cavill. What's particularly entertaining about her confession is that Gina said it so matter-of-factly as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Can we even blame her when you're working alongside someone who looks like they were made in a lab? And all professionalism can go out the door. Amy Adams is warning about Henry's handsomeness. Next up is a particularly interesting moment where Amy Adams, who played Lois Lane in Henry Cavill's Superman, revealed the hilarious behind-the-scenes detail about coming on the set for Man of Steel and the sequels. She said that a lot of people in her office even warned her before filming that Henry is so beautiful, you would just want to stare at him. When asked if there was any element of that happening, Amy started laughing and admitted that yes, absolutely every time she saw Henry, she and the crew would just tell him that he is gorgeous. It became a trending joke on the set, but also a genuine reaction, that people just couldn't help with the fact that even seasoned professionals like Amy Adams, who herself is one of the most gorgeous women to exist in Hollywood, felt compelled to comment on Henry's appearance. This wasn't just any other celebrity politeness, but it was a real appreciation and nervousness that even Amy Adams couldn't help with. Other than that, during one particular interview, a host completely abandoned all the pretense of professionalism. After exchanging the initial hellos with Henry, the interviewer said that they should all just stare at Henry for a while. The audience erupted in applause, and Henry, who was the gentleman as always, looked both flattered and quite embarrassed. It was a moment of collective honesty. Everyone in that room and everyone who was watching at home knew exactly what the interviewer meant. Some words aren't even necessary. Sometimes we just appreciate how a person looks. This moment went viral, and it was basically the same moment as Amy Adams's moment. However, whenever someone praises Henry in front of him, his reaction is just a modest smile and sometimes a slight laugh, which makes him even more attractive. Unlike a lot of other Hollywood celebrities, he's never been seen to be cocky or arrogant about his looks, even though he has all the right in the world to be. Ben Affleck. Even men aren't safe around Henry Cavill. Ben Affleck, who played Batman alongside Henry and is Superman in DC's extended universe, had his own moment of being surprised at Henry's peak physical presence. When he was asked what surprised him most about working with Henry, Ben simply said, "He is a very large man," that surprised him the most. He then looked at Henry Cavill and said, "You are a very large man." This comment was delivered with the perfect comedic timing and had everyone laughing. It was Ben's way of acknowledging what everyone else already knew. Just think about it for a moment. When Affleck himself is not small, he is actually taller than Henry Cavill. But if we look at Henry Cavill, he is no slouch. He's standing at a 6'1" height, with the kind of muscle man that requires eating 5,000 calories a day, which Henry did during Man of Steel training. He basically became an imposing physical person during that moment. But what made this moment great was the whole subtext. Ben wasn't just commenting on Henry's height. He was acknowledging that he was a whole package from the frame, the muscles, the superhero physique, his arms, and everything. Coming from Batman himself, it was a huge praise and a moment of acknowledgement that everyone else would die for. So far, we've only touched the tip of the iceberg. Subscribe now, because it's going to get spicier from here. The fan moment. This one is particularly interesting because during a fan Q&A, Henry read something that blew everyone's mind. One of the comments said, "Henry Cavill can destroy me. Like legit, he can Superman this hoe." Henry Cavill read this aloud. He paused, laughed a little, and processed what he had just read. He then responded with perfect grace. He said, "That's very kind of you. I appreciate your vigor, but don't hurt yourself. Be careful out there." That's where the audience laughed. Henry's ability to acknowledge thirsty comments without being creepy or dismissive is another one of his charms that is quite underrated. He didn't shame the fan. He didn't make it weird. He just rolled with it while adding a touch of his own concern for their well-being and moved on. It's a combination of being both attractive and incredibly decent, which is the main thing that drives people mad, wild about him. This interaction became legendary in the fan communities because it perfectly encapsulated how Henry Cavill really was. He's gorgeous yet, at the same time, he's kind, funny, and self-aware enough to handle some of the most intense situations that others would fail to. Another Q&A. This section of the BuzzFeed Q&A took over the internet during this question. Someone said and made a bold declaration. They said that Henry Cavill definitely exudes Big D energy. And to make it even better, they said that I am 99% sure that he is actually big. Henry Cavill simply said thank you. The host tried to make their composer ask King, asking about Henry's opinion, and Henry only said, "Why?" They had one person doubt the celebrity, who refused to elaborate. For the same reason, only no comment while laughing. The mystery of who said this has driven fans crazy with speculation ranging across even the co-stars out there. But what's significant about this moment isn't just that. It isn't the first thirsty comment that someone made. People said things like, "If he ever gets called daddy by people." Whoever made this comment wasn't embarrassed or hesitant. They just stated an observable fact, which somehow made it even funnier and memorable, considering that Henry was reading all the thirsty comments. Amy Adams. Amy Adams didn't stop there because she gave an interview that was dripping with sarcasm when asked about the experience of working with Henry Cavill. She said that it must have been challenging having to work with Henry Cavill every day, and the co-star responded that it's just so awful, it's just too bad about his face. Because he's so handsome, he's such a nice guy. She just continued praising Henry Cavill. Henry, on the other hand, was just acknowledging her while being embarrassed. The joke, of course, was working with someone who is so attractive that he must have distracted everyone, even the professional co-stars. The sarcasm was laid on thick. Henry's face was decided that it was not a problem, but he was just so embarrassed. The co-star went on to explain that in every press interview people ask about Henry, and they are worried that he is going to think that they are obsessed because they cannot stop talking about how cute he is. This kind of self-awareness, self-aware thirsting, has become more common amongst people who are working with Henry, and they are basically shameless in their approaches to these interviews. In the same interview with Ellen DeGeneres, Amy Adams was asked about the body, shown random celebrities' body parts, and at first she got a very steaming hot picture of abs, to which she said, without hesitation, that it was Henry. When asked how they could be so sure from a partial image, they said that she does have a crush on Henry. And that explained everything. The host and audience laughed again because it was a moment that was understood, as having a crush on Henry Cavill is normal, and almost every co-star has it. Beyond that, Amy Adams even admitted that, just like Gina Carano, she had a way of touching Henry's chest that was unnatural because of his big chest and bulging muscles. She just couldn't help it. In other words, she would find literal excuses to do so. Russell Crowe. During the same interview with Amy Adams and Russell Crowe, the interviewer asked whether he looked at Henry on set and thinks that he really cooked. Russell Crowe admitted to all of those allegations and said that he was really surprised by Henry's multilingual speaking, and especially his broad frame, tall height, and all those muscles with less body fat. It made him quite attractive to everyone on set. Jason Momoa. Talking about another male entry on our list, Jason Momoa, who played Aquaman alongside Henry Superman, has also been vocal about his appreciation for his co-star. During various interviews, Jason has called himself a fan of Henry, both as an actor and as a person. Their bromance during the Justice League press tour was legendary, with Jason frequently complimenting Henry's professionalism, dedication, and appearance in the show. In one of the moments, he joked about Henry's spirit, saying that standing next to him made even Aquaman feel inadequate. The mutual respect and admiration between Henry and Jason became a significant promotional moment for DC. They genuinely seem to enjoy each other's company, and their chemistry is translated into their on-screen interaction, where Jason's openness about being a fan of Henry helped them normalize the idea that you can appreciate attractiveness regardless of gender without making it weird. Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot, who played Wonder Woman alongside Henry Cavill, Superman, in the DC Extended Universe, has also had her share of memorable moments discussing her impossibly attractive co-star during press tours of Batman vs. Superman and Justice League. The chemistry between them is quite interesting. In multiple interviews, Gal has been asked about working with Henry, and even though she was normally considered quite dominant since she has already been in the army, her responses have tried to be professional but would always fail. During one particular interview, she was asked about the experience of filming an action sequence with Henry, and there she mentioned how surreal it was to be doing that and doing fight choreography with someone who looked like an actual superhero. She even joked about the challenge of maintaining character focus when your same partner is Henry Cavill in the Superman suit. She said that it was very distracting while laughing during one interview. She even said that he has a very symmetrical face. What makes Gal's comment particularly interesting is how she balances professionalism and honesty. But if you look closely at the interview, you can see that she is always a little nervous around Henry Cavill, even biting her lower lip, which is a huge indicator that she is quite attracted to the gym videos and PC building. Then came the famous working out video when Henry was preparing for the role. We all remember the Man of Steel training when Henry had a big beard and hairy chest. The comment sections would be flooded with people, celebrities, and regular fans expressing their appreciation in the most creative and thirsty ways. Many verified celebrity accounts have been spotted in this comment section. leaving flame emojis, heart eyes, or even commenting on interesting things. The fact that other famous people who were already attracted feel the need to publicly acknowledge Henry's physical condition speaks volumes about his condition. This workout video served dual purposes. They showed Henry's dedication while also being a moment of fan service. For both the fans and even celebrities that they could appreciate on a purely aesthetic level, Henry was aware of both purposes and leaned into them with good humor. But that's not the only time he has made millions of people thirst without even being present. In 2020, Henry posted a video of himself building a gaming PC, which got over 2 million views. While the content was purely about computer assembly, the comment section told a different story, and for a good reason. This is because the guy was in a tank top with bulging muscles while building a computer for himself. One comment said, "I don't know anything about computers, and I don't care. I just watched 20 minutes of Henry Cavill's arms." This perfectly sums up the general sentiment, and the technical content was only secondary to the visual appeal of Henry himself building the PC. The video showed a very different human side of Henry, that he was not this serious person, but a nerdy gamer who gets excited about graphics cards and cooling systems. Even this relatable dorky content couldn't escape the thirst. If anything, it made him even more attractive to the general audience, because now he was smart, gorgeous, and nerdy. This is a combination that is apparently too much for people to handle. The eye contact. One of the most adorable moments between Freya Allan and Henry Cavill happened during the joint interview for The Witcher. This is where two of them shared an unscripted moment that had fans melting. The interview was normal, with both actors answering questions about their characters, and the other actors just being sucked into the interview, but when you noticed something closely, there was something happening. Freya suddenly glanced at Henry Cavill with a very thirsty-looking face. What should have been a quick glance turned into a prolonged eye contact as Henry was already looking at her with an encouraging smile. For a few seconds, they just held each other's gaze, breaking down into warm, genuine smiles that had nothing to do with the interview. That moment was brief, maybe just 3-4 seconds, but it generally felt longer to the interviewer's watch. When this moment got viral in the whole world, the same happened with other celebrities many times in there. Be honest. Would you thirst the same way these celebrities thirst after Henry Cavill? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel because more interesting content is coming.